Hello, everybody. Welcome to our latest SmartaaS seminar, Monitoring the Enterprise with Adam Zahn from Mavenspire that we'll be presenting in just a moment. I wanted to go over a few things during this presentation. If the actual presentation is too large on your screen, there are two magnifying glasses down at the bottom of the page that have minus and plus, and that'll help you to resize that presentation so that you can see the presentation in its entirety. Also, a few things to let you know about. Questions will be held till the end of the presentation. You'll see that there's a menu on the left-hand side of your screen, and if you press the question, click on the question menu item, you can ask your questions there, and I'll wait until the end to ask those questions for you. Occasionally throughout the presentation, we'll have a few polls, so if you could answer those, that would be great. It gives us some great feedback and understanding if you guys are understanding the presentation materials and if there's anything we can help you with. And then there's also a chat area down on the menu that you can also ask some questions to other people or add some content into the presentation. And finally, there's a handouts section down at the bottom where you're going to find there's a link to our website that we just rebranded, and we're really excited to share that with everybody, as well as there's a link to our Extreme Technology Makeover contest, where we're looking for nonprofits and how we can help them by upgrading their technology to be able to be successful in this time during this pandemic. We know that they've been hit hard. So I am going to transfer over to Adam, our trainer, but we're going to start off with one poll. Bear with me for just a minute. There we go. All right, Adam, can you hear me?
I can. Good morning, everyone.
Great. And if you go to the next page, I'll start the poll. And it says, how are you currently monitoring your enterprise infrastructure? If you could just type in how you are doing that, that would be great. And then once we get going here, go ahead and get started, Adam, and you can take it away.
Thanks, Jen. Hi, everybody. My name is Adam Zahn. I joined the Mavenspire team a little under 3 years ago, where I am currently a team lead and senior consultant in the consulting services division of the company. I have worked for several large organizations prior to joining Mavenspire and currently volunteer with an organization based out of the DC area as the CIO and CTO, where I've successfully been able to monitor and maintain an enterprise level cloud infrastructure over the past 20 years that supports annually between 3 and 4,000 users annually. So it's a large job for a single person, and through automation, we've been able to monitor and remediate the environment as various needs and issues arise. So I hope today my experience is able to translate into your organization as we talk about OpenManage and SmartFabric. So we'll be talking about three main components of the OpenManage platform: compute, networking, and what it integrates and connects to. We'll be focusing first on compute and how that relates to the PowerEdge modular, and there's a mobile component to this with an exciting new feature that they've released recently for aided troubleshooting. But we will first start with PowerEdge. So with PowerEdge, OpenManage Enterprise, the entire goal is four things: to simplify, unify, automate, and secure the entire life cycle of that server and how that server plays into your environment. And when we simplify the network, it really comes down to quick results, detailed logs so that you can quickly troubleshoot and remediate the issue, and potentially automate the tasks that routinely occur through simple menu-driven actions. And obviously the goal is to reduce the deployment time and any potential human errors, such as typos that may exist on DNS servers, Active Directory instances, host names, all that fun stuff through editable templates. Same with iDRAC deployments as well. So the goal to accelerate the server onboarding process, obviously we need to have some basic features. We need to be able to monitor and alert management if there are any issues, any profiles that may exist between chassis, modular component discovery, firmware management and template-based compliance, as well as network synchronization so that all hosts are within compliance. And just as a key item, OpenManage Enterprise supports up to 8,000 PowerEdge servers, regardless if it's modular or whether it's modular or standalone, whether 2U, 1U within a MX7000 or an MX1000 chassis, it does support up to 8,000 PowerEdge servers within its database. Typically, the onboarding process is about 15 seconds, which is about 88% less time than it used to be. And from start to finish, once it's racked, stacked, and powered up, it's about a 4-minute fully deployed solution compared to what used to take generally about half an hour to an hour per machine. When we want to unify the platform, we're speaking of the one-to-many management, where we have one console that's managing those 8,000 nodes, and it's built to scale. It reduces your training time so that you're really only training on the OpenManage platform, and again, it supports up to 8,000 PowerEdge devices. It monitors and creates alerts for any of your third-party devices on the network, such as Cisco, SonicWall, et cetera, et cetera. There are some power management options within the OpenManage product platform that allow you to say there's a generator that kicks on because you have a site failure. You have the ability to detect that and reduce power loads so that you can run more efficiently. And obviously through OpenManage Mobile, if you expose it to the outside world, you can remotely monitor and manage through your device through alerts. So the one-to-many execution policy engine is this. It discovers, it detects, it notifies, it remediates, and executes based off of your automatic deployment policies, your configuration compliance policies, your firmware compliance policies, and anything around your health monitoring, and that would be the automated remediation. And that brings us to our automation slide, where the goal for any automation is obviously to decrease deployment time through automated deployment features based on templates. It maximizes your IT efficiency, and through the repository manager, which we'll get into in the next slide, you'll be able to have a consistent baseline for all of your hardware, regardless of the generation, and aligned automated reports based on your enterprise needs. So the infrastructure lifecycle, based on that discover, deploy, update, monitor, and execute, all comes in through the main component, which is the Dell Repository Manager. And that's the equivalent of Microsoft Server Update Services, or SUS. It's a local storage of firmware, it's a local storage of your catalog, and there are two different by default out of the box catalogs that are deployed. One is your latest, which is it has passed basic validation for your platform, but it has not gone through the extensive testing, which is where the second catalog exists. Which is a fully vetted, fully validated, they've seen no issues with it in the field. It's been further vetted by the engineering team. And while it is not bleeding edge on the latest catalog that comes out, because the latest catalog is vetted, obviously, for enterprise use, it is just a little more current than the validated, because the validated goes against multi-vendor with VMware, Microsoft Hyper-V, Red Hat, all the different operating systems that are out there. Those firmware patches that come out are validated against every solution that Dell supports at an enterprise level. So those are the main differences from the catalogs. And through the next item under your integration and plugin is the Dell Technologies Support Assist. And I really want to touch on this because if you have pro support engaged in the support contract for your devices, the support assist automatically will notify Dell of failed drives, bad NIC cards. If you have anything that's related to like a potential corruption on a main board where it needs to be reported. Depending on your level of service integration with your pro support team, it can automatically dispatch parts. And if you're an EMC customer, this is very common in a lot of their Unity and VNX systems that you've seen in the past. If you don't have an EMC system or have never experienced the support assist with pro support, I do encourage you to look into that so that you have less of a management headache. And again, it does support OpenManage Enterprise up to 8,000 devices from a data center and multi-site scale from a single appliance. And just to point out, it gets delivered as a virtual appliance with VMware, Hyper-V, any of the virtualization levels. It comes through as an appliance. So you don't have to spin up a Windows VM or a Linux VM and install the packages. It's just a single appliance delivered component that now comes out. So the end-to-end lifecycle management, just to really quick, or just to touch on a few of the high-level tasks. It's single task discovery where it scans your network for iDRAC devices and other third-party endpoints that are supported through the OpenManage engine. It applies updates and you choose whether or not you want to schedule it or immediately apply. And obviously there's management reporting behind that once everything is in place so that you can detect drifts. And back to the catalog baselines of the latest versus validated, you have the choice of how you want to apply those catalogs based on, is it a production environment, a development environment, test environment, so on and so forth, so that you can potentially stage in those updates before it hits your full production clusters. Typical life cycle, you're about 100% faster in your deployment. So 32 seconds or 4 steps for checking for firmware and compliance, 20 seconds or 3 steps for drift detection, or 51 seconds to reconfigure in the event. And that's for 1,000 servers to check firmware, 1,000 servers for drift detection, and about 51 seconds to reconfigure for about 250 servers. So you really do get time savings, and your cost of ownership overall goes down because you have less day-to-day management on your life cycle of that hardware. And again, it does support up to 8,000. This is just the 1,000 and 250 server baseline. Security. OpenManage Enterprise is truly an end-to-end security device that is delivered using industry standards and best practices. It delivers security at scale. It uses best practice guidelines to deploy within your hypervisor, and it is built on CentOS, which is, as everyone knows, the community version of Red Hat. It limits the number of network ports that become exposed on the network, so you have limited attack vectors there. Everything is encrypted end-to-end from your sign-in to the OpenManage Enterprise all the way down to the management of the device using SSH, SSL, and a technology called Redfish, which is for device-to-device communication and management, similar to SNMP, but it's a newer protocol. And now we get to OpenManage Modular. And modular is anything that you would typically see a blade or modular networking in. So this is your PowerEdge MX platform, so the MX1000, which uses CMC, or your MX7000, which uses the MMC. It also incorporates with HPE Blade system and Synergy, as well as Cisco UCS. So you truly do get that single pane of glass component, or I'm sorry, that single pane of glass management, where you can manage multiple vendors under one enterprise compliance tool, essentially. Just some basic benefits. If you're in the MX7000 family, you can manage up to 20 chassis all at once. You can deploy faster with automatic discovery based on those templates we've created in the initial setup. the server configuration is automated, and OME Modular, which is built in to the MX platform, automatically scales that 20 chassis maximum. So you don't actually have to deploy OpenManage Enterprise if you're only using the MX platform. There are some other modular options in there where you can have redundant management modules for that, for the MMC platform, and it connects in through QuickSync 2, which we'll talk about in a moment, through OpenManage Mobile. OpenManage Mobile is kind of for me personally, when I'm in the field, this is my Swiss Army knife of deploying servers and doing cluster deployments in mass. I have various templates on my phone that I put in some basic customer information around how we want to name iDRAC, how we want to name the servers. All of it is driven from my device. It can also log in directly to OpenManage Enterprise and pull those templates down from there. But it supports the MX7000 chassis, the PowerEdge servers, and OpenManage Enterprise. And it has three connection methods. One is QuickSync for both versions 1 and 2. The difference there is version 1 required you to have I believe it was an initial version of Bluetooth, whereas QuickSync version 2 uses Bluetooth with a barcode, so you don't have to put a lot of information in. And the third is if you already have configured iDRAC and you just need to quickly manage a device, you can pop that information in, log in, and directly access that device, which is part of the lifecycle for OpenManage Mobile. It's mainly designed to monitor servers, view the health of the servers, configure servers. So if you have an iDRAC module that isn't responding on your network, you can walk over to the device, pull out your phone, connect through QuickSync, and immediately reset iDRAC, or say you need to power cycle the system, or you need to update a configuration item on the BIOS or the NIC. Say you need to power cycle, collect support assist for pro support. There's a virtual console option. So everything you would normally get through your computer through iDRAC web interface is delivered directly on your device through a low power Bluetooth connection to the server. So even if your top of rack switch has gone down, you always have the ability to walk up to that server, quick connect to it, and have basic management tasks. The other side of this is the emergency power reduction in the event you have a site failure and you're going on to generator power and you need to reduce. You can also do that on your blade systems, just in the event your network has gone down, but you need to safely shut your chassis down. OpenManage Mobile gives you that very quick way to go in and remediate those tasks. And on the next slide, OpenManage Mobile has implemented augmented reality. And this is, for me personally, a little bit of a game changer, because we are now able to log into the device through QuickSync and point the phone with our camera at the device. And in an MX7000 platform, you can see the overlay where it identifies the blade chassis, the storage, the fans, the power supplies. And on the second image, you can see that we have a blade that's in a warning state and a power supply that's in an error state. And when you tap on either of those options, it brings up, as you can see in the third image, which I apologize for it being a little small, it gives you some remediation steps. So you can obviously reset the module, you can gracefully shut down the operating system. It does bring up, obviously, those remote console options, everything you would expect from the menu-driven standard OpenManage Mobile tasks. You can now visually see, especially if you have multi-chassis deployment. You can log, if you say, hey, I've got this one chassis, but I don't know which blade it is. With augmented reality, it visually gives you the indicator of this is the problem blade that we need to reseat, we need to reset, power cycle, etc. So for someone who goes in and troubleshoots servers, this is a game changer from a mobile support standpoint. And that brings us to poll number 2. So Jen, if you would like to
Yes,
jump in here.
I will launch poll number 2. All right. Do you think OpenManage Mobile will benefit your team? There's a quick yes, no, or need more information. Oh, we've got a couple votes. I love it. Okay. All right. Thanks, Adam. Go ahead.
All right. So now we're going to go into networking. And continuing in the OpenManage product, there are 2 products that we're going to talk about. One is SmartFabric and the other is OpenManage Network Manager. So let's start with OpenManage Network Manager. OpenManage Network Manager is an extension to OpenManage Enterprise that allows you to, under that same single pane of glass, manage your network switches, whether they're Dell, Cisco, Brocade. It doesn't matter, as long as it's on the supported third-party list. OpenManage Network Manager can go through and give you that same one-to-many functionality for configuration management, deploying, diagnosing, and I apologize for not having the support level of how Support Assist works on the Dell side. I don't know how far that goes on the third party, and I apologize for that. But it is available from at least a very high level overview of automating your enterprise network. Some of the key benefits here, just something to point out, it's got the same automated discovery that's a part of OpenManage Enterprise. The configuration is simplified where you can do group deployment or template driven based on tagging and a few other things. So again, that's your production environment, your test environment, your R&D or development environment. All of those can be tagged and deployed in various ways, and it uses that same drift detection, health, and performance monitoring to ultimately gain the reduction in your total cost of ownership. And because it integrates with all of the support areas of each of those vendors, it does hardware warranty checks, it gives you alerts, it gives you reports on things that are about to expire. So if you've got a 3-year contract, about 2 years down the road, it can say, hey, you've got about a year left on this. You need to renew or you need to refresh. And on the Dell side with Pro Support, that Support Assist automated collection still occurs on all of the Dell hardware. And it really just gives you that high level overview of what's happening in your data center from a single pane of glass, all within the OpenManage platform, so that at the end of the day, you're not hunting down a Brocade support article, you're not hunting down a Cisco support article, you're not hunting down all of the different vendors, because OpenManage and OpenManage Network Manager really consolidate that information for you so that you're no longer having to chase your tail on pieces of information that could otherwise be centralized. Some more key features from here. We have multiple operating system support. So obviously Windows, Linux, VMware, and all of the components within. So it doesn't matter if it's Red Hat, Cent, Debian, Ubuntu, Windows, or VMware, NSX, ESXi, all of the different products. It is supported. And it's managed specifically from Dell, but it also includes Cisco, Juniper, HP, Arista, Extreme, and Brocade, just so that this truly is not about Dell versus other vendors. This is about inclusivity around every possible component in your data center. That's why it's OpenManage Enterprise, because we want to help you manage your enterprise through a centralized repository so that you're no longer, again, chasing information in various portals. And obviously getting your enterprise compliance, your auditing, remediation to prevent any type of configuration or firmware drift, and obviously on-demand inventory reporting so that you can pull down, hey, we might have a UCS infrastructure in place that's on 4-year-old firmware and we need to bring that up for, say you've got an Isilon system or you've got a Unity system that needs to connect into it, and having that known issues list handy will, really make your life easier. Additionally, traffic flow analysis through SFlow data exports to CSV. So this is similar to Wireshark or PCAP, so that you're no longer having to put sniffers on your network. You don't have to do port mirroring. It automatically goes through and uses packet capturing at the switch level so that you don't have to inject additional pieces of software. Network Manager already takes care of that. And if you are a MSP and you have multi-tenancy where you need to segregate the networks and keep everything isolated from each other, that is also an option. And continuing with the one-to-many device configuration, the same workflow you expect from OpenManage does apply down into OpenManage Networking, and same application with advanced scheduling for backing up configurations, so that in the event you have a rogue admin that goes and puts in a VLAN that blocks a port, or spanning tree starts all of a sudden shutting things down outside of Network Manager, you at least have the ability to restore your previous backups automatically without having to completely rip your hair out from trying to troubleshoot everything. Here are the supported products from both a Dell and external. So the CN, S, X, and Z series switches, along with any modular-based networking components in the MX or Vertex platforms, are natively supported. There are wireless controller and access point support. There is Unity storage support. And just to name some of the multi-vendors that are out there: Cisco, HP, Juniper, Brocade, SonicWall, Ruckus, VMware, and I believe it's VMware NSX specifically for that virtualized network. Hopefully, I'm hopeful to see VeloCloud, now that VMware has acquired them, as being brought into the OpenManage network management. And just to kind of throw this out there, for anyone who's interested, please reach out, because there are some trial offerings that we can set up for you. And that is OpenManage Networking. So let's talk about SmartFabric. SmartFabric has two main components. One is Director, which treats your data center as a cloud. And cloud is always that huge buzzword right now. And it's really your infrastructure supplied to your customers. And it simplifies your provisioning, your monitoring, your underlay fabrics to integrate with all of the different components. And the services side is actually Dell Networking Operating System 10.5 and higher. And there are configuration templates that you can deploy, so that if you're doing multiple components through like VMware, the switch can natively talk to the SmartFabric director, and all of those endpoint through Redfish and a few other things come in to play. And so that's mainly for hyperconverged MX type situations. So SmartFabric Director, it is the industry's only fabric management platform developed by VMware and Dell EMC in conjunction. And it really enables it's smarter fabric management by connecting the physical world and the virtual world. And the deployment of that looks very easy. It's 3 steps. It's simple, it's efficient, and it's open. You create your physical layer, you define your topology, and you deploy it. It really gives you a 99% reduction in your steps. You don't have to deploy every single component. It is, again, template and policy driven. It lowers your total cost of ownership by provisioning and monitoring the right amount of network resources, and it truly puts an end to network over provisioning, specifically with VMware NSX. And it has the ability to support Google networking protocols and OpenConfig to support future network OS, including Sonic. So it's not just limited to the Dell OS 10 Enterprise and 10.5 specifically. It really comes down to that multi-vendor support, making sure that everything is good. But from a validated standpoint, when we come into the services of what the Dell Networking Operating System 10.5 and higher gives you, it truly comes down to the 3 most common components. One is VxRail, one is MX, one is Isilon. VxRail is a hyper-converged solution that is a full VMware with vSAN deployment. The other is MX, which is the MX7000 platform, which is completely modular with A and B fabrics and a C fabric that's designed specifically for fiber channel. And Isilon, which depending on your configuration, generally has about 4 nodes and requires a lot of I/O in order to manage. So from a SmartFabric director talking to SmartFabric services enabled operating systems, all of these, and you can see sort of in that monitor screen in the top right, where it's really designing the network based off of your need and pushing standardized configurations throughout. And it really is truly a robust ecosystem of orchestrators with simplified access that is fully customizable. And through Pro Support, which is available 24/7, 365, using that Support Assist integration, it is truly centralized. So let's talk about what integrates and connects with OpenManage. The OpenManage integration and connectors truly enable the different infrastructure function management functions for both PowerEdge and Modular with third-party management consoles and DevOps tools so that you can directly deploy, update, and manage with VMware vCenter, Microsoft System Center, with OpenManage integrations. And it truly allows you to efficiently automate management functions with Ansible if you do infrastructure as code. And it gives you an extensive hardware visibility with Nagios or Micro Focus and IBM Tavali using OpenManage connections. So here they are. Here are the current supported lists, and I'm just going to talk about a few of them. OpenManage Integration for VMware, or OMIVV, it manages the virtual and physical servers in the same interface. So you are in VMware vCenter looking at your infrastructure through a plugin. It automates the cluster deployment and updates to prevent downtime. So you really are taking a proactive approach with your infrastructure, and it because VMware is recently updated to the HTML5 interface, everyone is now on board with bringing that um, the modern workflows into a standard that everyone can get on board with. The second one is the integration with Windows Admin Center, which gives you seamless server and cluster management of PowerEdge devices. And if you are a Dell EMC Azure Stack hyperconverged customer, all of that is also included. The integration with the Dell Technologies Cloud gives you composability through the VMware Cloud Foundation. It reduces your steps to complete tasks, and it also enables Redfish. The other thing there, just to give you an example, is a new Dell product called Cloud IQ. And that takes your VMware, your storage, whether it's Compellent or EMC, and it gives you a single pane of glass that sends you daily reporting analytics that supports OpenManage from a high-level standpoint. And gives you some remediation options in there. One of the more recent things I've seen is space reclamation so that you can efficiently gain unused storage back. So if you have detached volumes, if you have items that just really aren't being used that you missed as an administrator, Cloud IQ will start reporting that information to you so that you can maximize your storage efficiency. There are also Ansible modules if you are doing a DevOps mentality where it gives you faster time to value with automated end-to-end provisioning, deployment, and updates. It gives you increased reliability and consistency with automated template deployments. And it truly is infrastructure as code. So it's no longer about going into an interface. You have playbooks, you have template-driven items, and it just further expands the capabilities of OpenManage Enterprise. If you're a ServiceNow customer, it automates the service management process. It creates CIs, it monitors status, and it also, through Support Assist, will work with Pro Support to create cases through that proactive process and workflow that exists between ServiceNow and Dell. So you're not necessarily having to log into the Dell support interface. You can do it directly within your own ServiceNow change management database. And if anything on here that is not to what you are currently using, everything is supported through RESTful API, which gives you enhanced usability through customization of whatever your management needs are as an organization. And it's all open with support of industry-leading software vendors. And to touch on some of the additional plugins and connectors, Nagios is a direct plugin to the interface. And if you're a HPE OMI operations user, or IBM Tavali user, or a Micro Focus user, there are connectors with OpenManage that will directly tie into those systems so that you can transfer data to and from. And on that, we have reached our third poll. So I will hand this back to Jen.
Hi. All right. This is our third and final poll. There we go. Do you think OpenManage or SmartFabric will benefit your enterprise? So feel free to answer there. All right. Okay, great. So then I think that we'll probably go to questions, right, Adam?
Yes. So that is it for our presentation today. And Jen can speak more to this slide, but just to point out, we have obviously the expertise in-house and relationship through our TrustX Foundation, or the TrustX Foundation, Jen, is it? The TrustX Alliance. TrustX Alliance, that if we are unable to solve your problem, we have a trusted network of partners that we work with to handle any problem that your organization may have.
All right. So if anybody has any questions, now's the time to ask them. Just a reminder, we do have an Extreme Technology Makeover contest going on, that nominations are being taken for any nonprofits. You can nominate if you work for a nonprofit, or if you know of a nonprofit, there's the link is in the handout section of the menu on the left-hand side. You fill out a form saying like how technology would help them reach their goals, especially during this time of the pandemic. And we'll take a look at it, and they could get up to $20,000. They could win up to $20,000 of technology upgrades. Also, check out our website, mavenspire.com. There's a link in the handout section for that. We'll be reaching out to people, letting them know what our next SmartaaS seminar is. We really appreciate you joining us for the SmartaaS seminar, Monitoring Your Enterprise. And thank you, Adam, for being the trainer on this. And it's Adam's birthday, so happy birthday to you.
Thank you very much.
And thank you. I'll leave this up and running for just a minute or two so you guys can get to the handouts. And that concludes our presentation. All right, everybody, have a great day.